Hello and welcome to another edition of Now You Know Sports. My name is DJ Murphy.
And I'm Matt Porter.
Great to be here. Great to be here. We have a jam-packed episode for you with March Madness, baseball, brackets, bracketology, all that good stuff. But today...
let's not forget the full harvest moon.
The full harvest moon as well, exactly. But we are going to start off with baseball. Spring training's coming to a close, and we're doing a little baseball preview. So Matt, what do you have for us on baseball?
All right, well, considering I'm from Boston, let me go over the AL East. The Red Sox have signed 3 long-term contracts with 3 of their best young players, Dustin Pedroia, Kevin Youkilis, and John Lester. John Lester for 5 years, by the way. I think that was a really good move. Meanwhile, the Yankees have bought 2 really pretty expensive and possibly terrible players, and Mark Teixeira, who, a good player as he is he worth $160 million, and the ever graceful, or not so graceful, CC Sabathia, again coming in at $160 million. He's about one bratwurst shy of a trip to the 60-day disabled list.
Making fun of his weight. Wow, always a tough one right there, Matt Porter.
Well, I mean, you got to also hand it to the Yankees. They, in this time of economic recession, have torn down their beloved stadium and replaced it with a smaller stadium with more luxury seats.
So there you go.
So I think the Yankees are definitely the losers this year.
Well, I want to counter your AL East with the NL East. Moving on, with the NL East, you have a budding rivalry between the Phillies and the Mets right there. Obviously, the Phillies, the defending World Series champion. I think it's going to be really interesting this season when you look at what the Mets did with their bullpen, getting Putz and Francisco Rodriguez to shore up the back end of their bullpen, which was a huge disappointment for them with Billy Wagner going down to many injuries throughout the year. And all I know is that I did draft Jose Reyes on my fantasy team, so I'll be rooting heavily for him, not particularly the Mets, but for Jose Reyes to do well. So I do think the Mets will be much improved this year. And the Phillies, I mean, they didn't do that much to change their team, but they did win the World Series, so they didn't have to. They did get Raul Ibanez after they didn't sign Pat Burrell. But yeah, I think the AL East is going to be a great competition. And then also, looking across the nation, across the U.S., at the NL West,
Manny Ramirez,
the Dodgers got Manny Ramirez, so you know they're going to be in contention. Because you know, Manny is going to play some days. He's going to come to play.
Well, yeah, but is he going to come to play all days, and is he going to, more importantly, come to play when the time counts in October and September?
That is the key question. But when Manny does come to play, the Dodgers are going to be a very difficult team to beat. But we'll see how it goes. It's still spring training. We'll see what happens. But moving on, middle of March, March Madness time. And emphasis on the madness with the varying degrees of how people rationalize their picks.
For sure.
I know I'm more of a, kind of straightforward, the picks, the points, looking at points, rebounds, stats like that. Matt, you have some interesting ways of going about your picking.
Well, you see, DJ, I'm the biggest March Madness fan that doesn't watch any of the games, except for maybe the BC games. And so this is how I rationalize everything, if you give me a moment.
Made a little trip to the ERC here.
Why don't you tell me a little bit first about how you rationalize?
Well, I mean, while Matt sets up here, let's just say that, for me personally, I watch a lot of college basketball, and thus I feel like I have a good knowledge of which teams are better, how the matchups work. Are they a run team? Are they good down low? Have good guard play? Things like that. Kind of, the more typical way of going about filling out your bracket. But in the past, there have been people that I know that have been absolutely terrible or don't know anything about college basketball and have unfortunately come close and even beaten me. So sometimes, knowledge of the sport isn't necessary because, as I said, emphasis on the madness. So Matt, I think, is set up here. I don't even want to know what he's about to do.
So DJ, while you emphasize your importance on rebounds and points to, possession ratio, I take a much more simple and elegant approach at predicting my teams. Let's take, for example, Duke and BC and how I rationalize who's going to go further. Now, first you'll notice that I use these little bears, a signification of the bear market that we're currently in. And depending on whose university has made my life much more of a hell, they get more bears. And so, in this case, you'll see that BC, my maroon and gold over here, is doing a lot better than Duke. Now, if this doesn't work out, say it's a draw, then I have to go to my Sonic guessing, which goes...
I don't know where we're going here, folks. I'm sorry.
I assign every mascot a letter in the octave, and I decide which one sounds more pleasing at the time that I'm choosing my bracket. So, in this case, I chose Villanova for C and UConn for B. Let's see. Villanova was a little bit more of a screech, but I think that screech shows passion, so I think Villanova is going to go further in the tournament than UConn.
Wow, well that's a really interesting way of picking your teams right there. I know right now some kid is crying in the ERC because Matt stole his toys, but that's a whole other issue and a whole other episode.
Jimmy, you're not going to talk about this with your mother.
All right, well anyways, so Matt, let's get actually right down to your predictions. I know I'm more of the rational, person here, I feel like, instead of using, some kids' toys. Who do you have going to the final?
Well, my prediction this year is that the Chattanooga Moccasins are going down by the Binghamton Bearcats. And yes, I said Chattanooga Moccasins. They are now known as the Chattanooga Mocs since 1996, since somebody decided that moccasins might be a little bit too much of, a racially termed term. But the Moccasins have been known as the Mocs since 1996, and their team name actually was from the Chattanooga Choo Choo and their coach, A.C. Scrappy Moore. But still, not even their heart can beat the Binghamton Bearcats.
Wow, well that was more information than any of us ever wanted to know about Chattanooga or Binghamton. But anyways, back to some predictions here. I know Matt's kind of dead set on those right now.
They may be ranked number 16, both of them, but they're coming back.
Well, here's my predictions right here. I really like Louisville and Memphis on one side of the bracket in that Final Four. They also like Pitt and UNC on the other side. I know I'm going a lot of Big East here, 2 Big East teams, 3 number 1s. I know I'm not much of an upset pick guy. I'm very conservative in terms of my picking. But as I said, I like Louisville, Memphis, and Pitt, UNC, and I like in the final, UNC over Louisville to win it all. There you go. We'll see what happens. Who knows? Maybe Matt will be right. I think I have a better chance of being right, but we'll see.
Duke, UConn, Villanova, all out in the first round.
All right.
My system will prove it.
That's it for Now You Know Sports. I'm DJ Murphy. He's Matt Porter. Let's send it back to the desk.
Thank you.